couldn't make it, so I'm going to go it alone. But it's kind of a preview show. There's no games today in the WNBA, but they start tomorrow, and we do have lines. So we can talk about some of the lines. Let me put some of this stuff up here now. We can see here that the Atlanta Dream is it's opened 3.5, went up to 5.5, and the total in the game 157, money line 250. So if you cross that, if you can look at that, I think it's pretty visible on the screen. And they're playing the Mystics. So a Dream at the Mystics. There's been some line move, and also a little total move too, up 4 points. You know, remember that these teams have not played any regular season games. There's lots of new people in the league that were drafted in. There were a lot of trades, coaching changes, things that we just cannot fully measure yet. So as a professional player, I will be going slow, but I will react quickly. And usually I react more quickly than the odds makers do, which gives me an advantage. Now, the Sparks visit the Valkyries. Have you not heard of the Valkyries? Well, they're a new team. They're in Golden State. And the line open 7.5. There's been a little bit of money on the dog, which is interesting. The Sparks at the Valkyries. The total has gone down a few points, and that's interesting. And you're not going to get a lot of average players playing this today. It's usually some people in there. Excuse me, little allergies going on here in Vegas. Then you got the Lynx, who played in the championship series last year and lost to the Liberty. They opened 7.5. It's still there. The total went from 166 down to 164.5. Those are the Friday games. On Saturday, you have some bigger marquee games. The Aces at the Liberty, which is obviously the Liberty is, I'll show you in a little while, are favored to win the championship again. Now they're the defending champs, so not surprising. They opened 5.5. Some money on the Aces. And if you know anything about the Aces, they've got the best player in the league in Asia Wilson. And they had a championship pedigree that they didn't win last year, but they are very, very good. They made some changes, and they look to be a little stronger this year, actually, than they were last year. The line opened 163.5, up to 167.5. And then we have, going across the board, the Indiana Fever. And, of course, that's Caitlin Collins. And they're going to go up against the Sky. And we all know that Angel Reese and Caitlin have their feuds. And that's something that you hear a lot about in the women's game. You don't hear too much about it in the men's game, but it's a whole different market. The Fever opened 7.5 down to 6.5, 170.5 down to 66.5. And I'm going to say that these line moves are made by some sharp players because, like I said, the average player is not involved yet until we start putting out information and the players start getting that information from people like me in the industry. And then the Phoenix Mercury are at home against the Storm. The Mercury opened 1.5 up 2.5, total 62.5. It's 162.5. It's still the same. Phoenix didn't look like they were going to have much of a season, but then they made some moves, and they're starting to get a little bit more, let's say, respect. Now, here are the odds to win the entire season. Right now, Liberty are plus 230, Indiana plus 350, Vegas Aces plus 350, Minnesota plus 400. Now, Minnesota lost to the Liberty in the finals last year. This is really a 4-team race at the moment. Now, injuries and trades and all those things can change things. But that's the way this league is shaped up at the moment, where you're not going to see that much competition from a standpoint of winning the championship, but on a daily basis, there will be great opportunities supporting some of these lesser teams as underdogs, and they will be significant underdogs. So the 4 teams on the top, each team plays 44 games in the season, and I'll tell you one thing: there's no load management in the WNBA. These people, these girls, play very hard, very good basketball. No, and I'm not trying to compare them to NBA male players. It's not the same, but it's quality basketball. They're better than most people that play the game, but they're not as good as the NBA. So all you guys out say, oh, they're not as good. No, they're not as good as the NBA. Just like female golfers are not as good as professional male golfers. And that's in any sport. It's a physicality issue. But when you look at the WNBA, you're getting quality effort each night. They play hard. They play all the time, and they play full games. They're not into the resting thing. Now, they also don't make as much money as the NBA does. So these young ladies are playing for their livelihoods, and they're not putting millions in the bank every year. So you're talking about players that are making 100,000 to 200,000, still good, a good living, but it's not 20, 30, 40 million. They don't have those players. They don't have that kind of volume. They don't have those TV contracts. They just don't have it. But the league is growing, and the addition of Caitlin Collins last year has really upped the level of viewership and people going to the stadiums. They're traveling better. They're getting better facilities, and they're getting a lot more exposure for advertising and things like that. So their lives are getting better because of the addition of a Caitlin Collins, and now this year's Paige Breckers, and there's a lot of very good players. And you go back in the day, Sue Bird, stuff like that. I mean, a lot of really good players. And I enjoyed last year. Was great because I got really involved because I was following college basketball, both men and women. And when Caitlin came into the league, I started following the WNBA, which I had not before. And my return on investment was astronomical. It was awesome. Now, I don't think that's going to continue totally, because what's going to happen is as more action comes in, the sports books and the odds makers are going to get a little bit more tuned in to making better lines. They will get better, but they're also busy right now doing NBA, doing golf, doing tennis, and doing baseball on an everyday basis, and now preparing for the NFL and the college football. So they're strung out. The effort by them cannot be focused as much. Also, they take lesser limits than they would in NBA games. So where maybe a $15,000 bet in the NBA, you might be getting away with 2,000 or 3,000 bet in WNBA. But I like making money, and that's my goal every day. I don't really care about percentages. I like to show a profit at the end of every day if I can. It's impossible to win every day, of course, but that's the goal. So these are the odds you're looking at. They're the lines for tomorrow and Saturday's games. Now, what I'm going to say is, and this is another look at it, you can see across different books what the odds are. Like New York Liberty Open plus 175, they're plus 230, 200. So it's gone up a little bit. That's because some of the money is coming on the other teams. Vegas is second choice, Indiana third choice. This is to win the championship, of course. And then Minnesota, and then it drops way off. But as you can see, Phoenix was 5,000. Now it's down in the 1400s. That's because they made a few additions. It's measuring these additions as we go through here. Some of this stuff is from different sources. There's all kinds of sources out there: ESPN, USA, WNBA.com. There's many different sources that you can look at. Very few people. I mean, I read a great article Jeff Fogel put out about everybody calling themselves experts. And I'm going to talk to Jeff about this. I'll probably text him later today about it. Everybody calls themselves experts. So what is an expert? An expert is somebody that spends a lot of time analyzing this, like myself. An expert is somebody that actually bets on the games. Well, betting on the games doesn't make you an expert. Betting on the games and winning, that makes you a little bit more of an expert, because anybody can bet, but 95, 96, 97, 98 of the people that bet don't make a profit. Doing this 6 decades, I can guarantee you I've made a profit. So, and I know quite a few people. If you ever watch our pizza show, we call it the pizza show. It comes from Dom DeMarco's pizza restaurant here on West Charleston, right down the street from me. And we did that last year during the football and early basketball season. And we took 3 months off. We're going to be doing it again in August. That's the restaurant's owned by Albert Scally, a good friend, great guy. The food's awesome. But I meet a lot of professional players. And I'm not talking about just people that sell picks or analyze picks. I'm talking about people that bet and make a lot of money. Now, Vegas is unusual for that because we attract that. You're not going to find that in Kentucky, in Tennessee, in Kansas. I mean, this is Las Vegas, so betting is legal and it's wide open. And Vegas, along with now about 30 states that take betting action, DraftKings, FanDuel, all over the place, BetMGM, ESPN, etc., they're taking action. And then, of course, you have the offshores, which are very large, very well respected, been around a long time, long before the states started saying it's legal. So what I'm talking about here is, this is what I do. This is what we do here is 24 hours a day. I'm reading, studying, analyzing. In the NBA this year, probably one of the most remarkable NBA seasons I and my staff have had. We're almost 2-1 in picking winners. Last night we had Boston. Night before we covered with, if I'm not mistaken, it was Denver. We have play tonight. A lot of our stuff's up at jimfeist.com. We got the WNBA, NBA. We've got baseball. We have football that's coming up, not yet listed at prices or stuff, but that's jimfeist.com. Right here on this channel, YouTube. You go to YouTube. YouTube has amazing stuff on there. And you go to our site, which is Proline TV. Make sure when you go there, like, subscribe, hit the bell, make sure the bell comes up so every time we post something, you'll be able to get it. So, we have horse racing. John Hordoon, Greg DePalma, who is our producer, do a great job. They picked the Kentucky Derby winner. Greg and I picked the NCAA finals. We've done a lot of really great stuff. And then we have golf, we have NASCAR, lots of great. And you know what? Proline TV on YouTube is free. You don't pay for anything. It's all free. Now, we're not a pick site necessarily, but we do have some sports analysis for betting purposes there. But if you want total betting purposes, you got what's on the screen, jimfeist.com. That's my personal site. I've been around for 6 decades. Now, Andy Iskoe is probably going to be with me for most of these shows. He had some car trouble, so he couldn't make it this morning, but we were scheduled to do this. And I said, well, I'm going to jump in and do the best I can with it. What do I think of the WNBA at the moment? One day prior to them starting, I do think the Liberty is a class act. The Aces are a class act. We know that the Lynx, who didn't do a whole lot, and they're kind of riding with what they had last year, where the Aces and Liberty made some moves. The Lynx didn't do very much to change. However, they're good. They're real good. They were there last year, went to the finals, easily could have won. Easily could have won. So they're a dangerous team. So those three teams we know a lot about. Everybody talks about Caitlin Clark. Great player. Came out of Iowa. Great player. Controversial, maybe. I don't know what the story is. All the drama in the WNBA is a little bit different than you see in the NBA. But that's the way they market. Like I said, they play 44 games where each team plays 44. In the NBA, they're playing 82 games. I think the number was 81, 82 games. And then, of course, each league plays their playoffs. So what we got there is, I'm going to say the Liberty, the Aces, the Lynx are for sure very dangerous long-term plays to make the finals and to do well. The Fever, which is Caitlin's, they have a new coach. They've made some additions. Their backcourt strength, their front court strength. They brought in players that have pedigree from winning championships, along with Caitlin. Now, is the chemistry going to work? We don't know. You never know about chemistry. It could work, and if it does, they're going to be very, very dangerous. Now, Caitlin, we know, is a very intense player. She can shoot from long range, and she's very accurate. We have other people in the league that have been good long before Caitlin came along, and they don't really get a lot of credit. They're all over the league, and they're really exceptional. Now, brought in the young lady from Connecticut. She's playing down with the Wings in Dallas, Paige Breckers. She was in college at the same time Caitlin was, and rated quite highly, and maybe even a little bit better than Caitlin, but she got hurt. So she missed the season. But they just won the championship in college, and now she's in the pros. These young ladies are very talented, very physical. They play hard. They work hard. They play with a lot of pride. And believe me, they don't take a lot of time off. They're playing for their jobs. They don't make the money that the guys do in the NBA. So every dollar to them means quite a bit. I suggest you follow the league because you're going to get entertainment. And don't compare them to the guys. They are not the guys. It's different. They play the same game by the same rules, and they play hard. That's what I respect. You're not going to ever compare men and women. Men and women bowlers are different. Golfers are different. Wrestlers are different. They're all different. But it's quality in and of itself. So I'm following it. Why do I follow it? First of all, I like the competition. Secondly, I like making money. I like betting, but I like winning even more than betting. So if I play two baseball games and they're both underdogs and they split and I made a profit, I'm happy, because profit is all it's all about. So that's what we're doing here. Proline TV on YouTube, great analysis each and every day, every sport. Okay. So this is my first version. And I'm sure if Andy was here, he'd have a lot of great input, but he had car trouble. So he will be back. And I'm going to do, hopefully, along with Andy tomorrow morning, we'll do some selections on tomorrow's games. I'm not going to make any selections right now because I haven't had time to dig into who's betting and why they're betting. And this early, by the way, it's very important to follow who is making the bets that are moving the lines, not just the lines are moving, because if you could have some donkey out there making big bets and moving the numbers. I don't want to follow the donkey. I want to follow the guy that knows what the hell he's doing. So let the others follow the donkey. I'm going to follow the experts that I qualify as experts. That's people who have an opinion and back it up with their money. There's so many people in this industry that have opinions that bet and lose or don't bet at all. I don't want to follow them. I want to follow the guys that have an opinion and bet and win, because that's what you want to do and that's what I want to do. So that's it for today. And we'll be back tomorrow. We got baseball. We got NBA. That's the male version of NBA. We do have some really interesting games. Had a winner last night with Boston, winner night before with Denver. There's a big game with OKC and Denver coming up. Little analysis on that. Denver might actually be, for 3 quarters, and I know this is controversial, they lost 20, they had 20 less wins through the season. But when I watch these games, and I watch them intensely, and sometimes I watch parts of them twice, Denver actually might be the better team. Now, that's with a caveat, but they're the better team for 3 quarters. They don't have the depth that OKC has. Almost no one has the depth OKC has, except maybe a Boston or a Cleveland or Indiana. Depth. They have talent, but depth is an issue. Now, why is depth an issue? It's because of fatigue. The problem here is Denver played a 7-game series against the Clippers, which was very, very difficult series because the Clippers are good. Where OKC didn't have that problem. They swept. So they have three less games right there. This team is tired. And if you notice these games, Denver's giving up leads at the end of the games. And they almost can't even shoot because all the shots are short, which means your legs are tired. They're even missing their free throws. Can they come up with enough to go 4 quarters? And that's what they're going to need, because this OKC team is pretty damn good. 73 regular season victories. They're good, very good. And they might win it all, the whole thing. But for 3 quarters, Denver is very dangerous. So right off the bat, I'm going to say this. Denver in the first half is a bet. That's a free play right now from Jim Feist. Denver in the first half. Can they do the whole game? I don't know. It's possible, because these guys can dig down deep, just like Boston dug down deep without Tatum in the lineup. They dug down deep, and in the second half, they kicked ass. They buried the Knicks. But the Knicks, they're going home, and they have the best closer in the game. They call him Mr. Clutch, Jalen Brunson. When that guy, man, he can't stop him. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but I tell you what, he knows how to play the game. It's very interesting. I love the playoffs. I'm going to love the WNBA season just like I did last year. So I'm doing my work. Follow, like, subscribe, and make sure you go to Proline TV on YouTube and jimfeist.com. You're going to get some great information. We'll be back tomorrow with more great stuff. Have a good one. And thanks. Oh, by the way, send in comments, questions. I love answering those things. Now, I screw up my phone. I'm not great with technology, so I get in the wrong place sometimes. And my producer, Greg, is always yelling at me. But when he yells at me, he actually teaches me. So I learn. You can teach an old dog new tricks. So I kind of qualify in the old dog thing. But anyway, send in comments, questions. I love to answer them. Okay, even if you want to criticize me, that's fine too. We all have opinions, and we're have the right to have those opinions. Voice them. Talk to you soon.